They said humanity would fold. They said we'd beg. They said we didn't have the spine for real war. They were wrong. When the Krathix Dominion glassed New Terra, 7 million souls vaporized in 18 minutes. They thought they'd made a statement. What they actually did was wake something the galaxy hadn't seen in 2 centuries. Something we'd buried deep after the Unification Wars. Something we swore we'd never become again. They killed 1 colony. We built 500,000 warships. And if you think that's where this story ends, you haven't been paying attention. If you're new to HFY, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to hear is the declassified account of Operation Final Warning, the day humanity reminded the galaxy why we don't make threats. We make promises. Drop a comment below telling me which moment hits hardest for you, because trust me, there are plenty to choose from. Now, let's move forward into the fire. This is Commander Jacob Reed's story, and it starts 37 hours before the first shot. Jacob Reed stood in the observation deck of the UNS Reckoning, watching Earth rotate beneath him. 42 years old, 20 years in the fleet, 3 wars, 0 colonies lost on his watch until 6 days ago. New Terra's distress signal had lasted 4 minutes. His ship had been 90 minutes out. Math didn't lie. Neither did the sensor recordings. Krathix dreadnoughts, 15 of them, converging on civilian infrastructure. Precision orbital strikes. No evacuation warnings. No surrender demands. Just methodical, clinical extermination. The Dominion's official statement called it a police action against human smuggling operations. The evidence they provided to the Galactic Council was fabricated so poorly that even their own allies winced. But it didn't matter. The Council had voted 42-3 to issue a stern condemnation and move on. That was 4 days ago. Jacob turned from the viewport as the door hissed open. Admiral Sarah Chen entered, her face carved from stone and exhausted. They rejected the final warning, she said without preamble. Jacob felt something cold settle in his chest. All of it? Every word. The Dominion representative literally laughed during the council session, called it theatrical human posturing. The Venn Alliance abstained. The Core Collective voted to censure us for inflammatory language. Chen pulled up a holographic display. The vote was 38-7 against accepting our terms. The terms had been simple. Surrender the 15 ship captains who ordered the strikes. Full reparations. Demilitarized zone around human space. 30 days to comply. How long do we have? Jacob asked. The deadline expires in 36 hours. Chen met his eyes. Fleet Admiral Torres has authorized Operation Final Warning. You're commanding the 7th Expeditionary Group. 147 ships. Your target is the Krathix military hub at Vardos Prime. Vardos. Jacob pulled up the tactical display. 40,000 military personnel. 15 orbital defense platforms. 300 docked warships. That's not a target, Admiral. That's a fortress. It's a statement. Chen's voice dropped. The Dominion thinks we're bluffing. They've seen our official fleet numbers. 8,000 registered warships. They think they can absorb whatever we throw at them. She smiled, and it was not a kind expression. They don't know about the reserve armada. Jacob had heard whispers. Every fleet officer had. After the Unification Wars, humanity had done something unprecedented. They'd built a ghost navy, automated shipyards in deep space, self-replicating construction protocols, ships built in the dark, crewed by volunteers who didn't officially exist, maintained by an AI network that answered to exactly one authority, the President of United Earth. How many? Jacob asked quietly. 500,000 warships. Chen let that number hang in the air. Plus support vessels, logistics trains, and medical frigates. We've been building them for 80 years, Jacob, waiting, hoping we'd never need them. And now? Now they jump to rally points in 30 hours. and the galaxy learns what happens when you murder 7 million humans and laugh about it. The holographic display flickered. A priority message from Intelligence Division. Chen opened it, read 3 lines, and her face went pale. "What is it?" Jacob asked. New Terra wasn't the first. Chen's voice shook. Intelligence just decrypted Dominion military traffic. They've been hitting human outposts for 8 months. Small ones. Mining stations. Research bases. Covering it up as accidents. She looked up, and Jacob saw murder in her eyes. "They've killed 42,000 of our people, Jacob." New Terra was just the first one they couldn't hide. The observation deck suddenly felt very cold. The briefing room aboard the Reckoning held 27 officers, every ship captain in Jacob's expeditionary group. The holographic display showed Vardos Prime rotating slowly, red thread indicators pulsing across its surface. "Questions before we begin?" Jacob asked. Captain Lisa Martinez of the UNS Retribution raised her hand. "Sir, with respect, we're 147 ships against a fortified military hub. Even with surprise, the math doesn't work." "You're right," Jacob said simply. "If we were alone." The display shifted. New icons appeared. Hundreds of them. Thousands. The officers stared in stunned silence as the tactical map updated with 500,000 warship signatures, each one marked with a ghost-white identifier. "Holy God," someone whispered. "The Reserve Armada," Jacob confirmed. 80 years in the making. They'll hit simultaneously across 42 Dominion military installations. Our job is Vardos. And we won't be dying today, because we're not charging in blind." He gestured, and the display zoomed to show a strange ship configuration. Angular. Unusual. Not human design. "That," said a voice from the doorway, "is a Ven stealth frigate." Every head turned. The figure that entered moved with careful precision, 4-limbed, bipedal, but definitely not human. Her skin shifted through subtle bioluminescent patterns, deep blue, fading to violet. Large eyes, purely black, no visible iris. She wore a Ven military uniform with rank insignia that had been carefully covered. "This is Lieutenant Kesva," Jacob introduced. "Ven Alliance Intelligence. She defected 6 hours ago." The room erupted in mutters. The Ven Alliance had abstained on the council vote. Not allies, but not enemies either. Their intelligence networks were legendary. Kesva's skin flashed orange briefly. Jacob had learned this meant irritation. "I did not defect for drama," she said, her voice clicking with harmonics that the translator rendered flat. "I defected because my government is complicit in genocide, and I will not serve such dishonor." She moved to the display, manipulating it with practiced ease. Vardos Prime's defenses are formidable, but they have a flaw. The Dominion uses core collective sensor arrays. Very sophisticated, very expensive. Also, very predictable. Her patterns shifted to what Jacob had learned meant grim satisfaction. They scan in pulses, 30-second intervals. If you time your approach exactly, you can slip entire fleets through the gaps. "That's impossible," Martinez objected. "The timing margin would be microseconds." "For organic reaction time, yes. For coordinated AI fleet management?" Kesva's eyes fixed on her. "Your species built 500,000 automated warships and kept them secret for 8 decades. Do not tell me you lack the computational precision for synchronized insertion." "Fair point." Jacob pulled up the attack plan. "We'll use the Ven stealth protocols Kesva provided. 3 strike groups. The first disables their sensor arrays. The second takes out orbital defense platforms. The third," he paused, "broadcasts on all Dominion frequencies. One final warning. Surrender the war criminals, or Vardos burns." "And if they refuse?" asked Commander James Park of the UNS Vengeance. "Then we demonstrate what proportional response looks like when you're fighting humans who've been keeping count." Kesva's patterns flickered rapidly. Confusion. "You will offer terms?" After they murdered your civilians? We're not here to become them, Jacob said quietly. We're here to make sure they never do this again. If they surrender the guilty parties, we accept. If they fight, his voice hardened, then they learn why humanity doesn't start wars. We finish them. The briefing continued for 2 hours. Attack vectors, contingencies, rules of engagement. The Dominion would have 3 hours to respond to the final warning. After that, all restrictions lifted. As the captains filed out, Kesva approached Jacob. Your species confuses me, Commander. You build weapons capable of destroying fleets, yet you still offer mercy. That's not mercy, Jacob corrected. That's civilization. The moment we stop offering surrender, we become the monsters. And I've fought monsters before, Lieutenant. I prefer being human. Her patterns shifted to deep purple, the then equivalent of respect. Your restraint may cost lives, your own people. Probably. Jacob pulled up the casualty projections. Even with surprise and overwhelming force, the models predicted losses. Good people would die because he'd given the enemy a chance to back down. But that's the price of being right. We warned them. We gave them time. We offered terms. If they choose death, that's on them. His communicator chirped. Admiral Chen's voice. All strike groups are green. Reserve Armada is moving to rally points. You're authorized to jump in T-minus 24 hours. Kesva watched Jacob's expression harden. You are afraid, she observed. Your bioluminescence equivalent, sweat, indicates stress. Terrified, Jacob admitted. I'm about to start the largest military operation in human history. People I know will die. And somewhere in the Dominion, there are officers just like me who don't know what's coming. He met her alien gaze. But fear means you're paying attention. It means you understand the stakes. And if they do not surrender? Jacob's reply was quiet. Final. Then Vardos Prime becomes a lesson the galaxy never forgets. The jump countdown began. 23 hours, 47 minutes. The reckoning dropped out of hyperspace, exactly where Kesva's calculations predicted. Directly in the sensor pulse gap. For 17 perfect seconds, they were invisible. 146 other ships materialized in perfect formation around them. All ships report green across the board, Lieutenant Sarah Kim announced from Tactical. We're ghosts, Commander. Jacob watched the tactical display. Vardos Prime hung before them, massive and bristling with weapons. Orbital defense platforms tracked empty space, scanning for threats that had already bypassed their sensors. Strike Group Alpha, you're clear for EMP deployment, Jacob ordered. 12 ships peeled away, moving with mechanical precision toward the Dominion sensor arrays. At exactly 0400 hours station time, they fired, not weapons. Specialized electromagnetic pulse drones that looked like debris on sensors. The EMPs detonated simultaneously across 42 sensor stations. Every alarm on Vardos Prime started screaming at once. Now they see us, Jacob said calmly. Strike Group Beta, suppress those defense platforms. Group Gamma, establish broadcast dominance. I want every comm frequency on this planet locked down. The reckoning shuddered as railgun batteries opened up. The other ships followed suit. Precise, devastating fire that turned orbital defense platforms into expanding clouds of shrapnel. The Dominion's return fire was panicked, uncoordinated. They'd been caught completely flat-footed. Communications established, Kim reported. We're broadcasting on all military and civilian frequencies. Jacob straightened, knowing that somewhere below, in bunkers and command centers, Dominion officers were watching. This is Commander Jacob Reed of the United Nations ship, Reckoning, commanding the 7th Expeditionary Group. Under Article 7 of the Galactic Conventions on Armed Conflict, I am authorized to deliver the following terms. He let the silence stretch. 7 days ago, Krathek's Dominion forces destroyed New Terra. 7 million humans died. Your government has refused to surrender those responsible. They have mocked our warnings. They have rejected our terms. Jacob's voice remained level, which somehow made it worse. You now have 3 hours to transfer custody of the following individuals to human authority. The display behind him lit up with 15 names. 15 Dominion ship captains, their service records, their command dates for the new Terra operation. If these individuals are delivered to our custody within 3 hours, we will withdraw. There will be no further military action. Vardos Prime will be untouched. If you refuse, we will demonstrate exactly what a proportional response looks like when it's calculated by people who build 500,000 warships and have the patience to wait 80 years before using them. Kespa stood at his side, her patterns flickering with barely contained emotion. Your restraint is still active, she observed quietly. Even now. We gave our word, Jacob replied. The Dominion's response came in 40 seconds, record time for their bureaucracy. General Vexkral appeared on the transmission, his chitinous features twisted in what might have been contempt or amusement. The Kratheks were insectoid, six-limbed, with compound eyes that made reading their emotions nearly impossible. Commander Reed, your demonstration is noted. Impressive, certainly. Sneaking past our sensors, destroying some defense platforms. Very competent. Vexkral's mandibles clicked rapidly. But you are 147 ships. Vardos Prime has 300 warships in dock. 2,000 aerospace fighters. 60,000 ground troops. Your math does not favor you. General, I need to clarify something, Jacob said carefully. When I said we, I wasn't referring to the ships you can see. He gestured to tactical. The display shifted. 500,000 warship signatures appeared across Dominion space. Each one positioned over a military installation. Each one painted with the ghost white identifier of the reserve armada. Vexkral's compound eyes seemed to widen. His mandibles stopped clicking. Those signatures appeared on our sensors 30 seconds ago, Jacob continued conversationally. In 42 different star systems, over every single one of your major military bases. They've been in position for 6 hours. We just disabled the stealth suites simultaneously. He leaned forward. You have 2 hours and 59 minutes remaining. Use them wisely. The transmission cut. Think he'll fold? Martinez asked from her ship. Jacob watched the countdown timer. No, they're Kratheks. They'll fight. How can you be sure? Because if they were going to surrender, Jacob said quietly, they wouldn't have glassed New Terra in the first place. Kesva's patterns flashed bright red. Alarm. Commander, I'm detecting massive power signatures from the planet's surface. They're activating something big. Jacob's blood went cold. Identify. Planetary defense cannon, mass driver class, aimed at your flagship. The countdown read 2 hours, 57 minutes. Evasive, Jacob barked. The reckoning banked hard, its inertial compensators screaming. A tungsten rod the size of a city bus screamed past them, missing the port bow by 70 meters. It traveled another 100,000 kilometers before its kinetic energy dissipated. That was a warning shot, Jacob realized. They wanted us to know they can reach us. More power signatures lit up across Vardos Prime. 12 planetary defense cannons, all charging. Sir, we can take them out from here, Martinez urged over comms. Authorization to fire. Jacob's mind raced. Those cannons were positioned in cities. Military installations, yes, but surrounded by civilian infrastructure. Millions of people, families, children who had nothing to do with their government's decisions. Negative, he said. Do not fire on surface targets. Commander, they're going to kill us, someone protested. Then we die upholding our principles instead of becoming murderers. Jacob's voice cut through the chatter. All ships, pattern Theta 7, make them work for every shot. The fleet scattered into an evasive dance, chaotic to observers, but precisely calculated. The Dominion cannons fired again, and again. Each shot missed by margins that looked miraculous, but were actually just superior computer-assisted maneuvering. Kesva watched this display of restraint, with her patterns flickering confused orange. You could end this. One orbital strike, their command structure collapses, and we become what we're fighting against. Jacob checked the countdown. 2 hours 40 minutes. Weapons hold unless they launch ships. If they want to waste ammunition on warning shots, let them. A new transmission came through, but not from Vardos Prime. Admiral Chen's face appeared, her expression grim. Jacob, intelligence has intercepted Dominion military traffic. They're not going to surrender. I know. It gets worse. They've issued orders to all Dominion forces across their empire. If Vardos falls, they're authorized to target human civilian centers. Reprisal strikes. They're holding our colonies hostage. The bridge went silent. How many colonies are we talking about? Jacob asked, though he already knew the answer would break him. 47 settled worlds, 300 orbital stations, estimated civilian population, 400 million. Chen's voice cracked slightly. They're threatening to do to all of them what they did to New Terra. Jacob felt the weight of 400 million lives settle onto his shoulders. His crew watched him, waiting for orders. Kesva's patterns had gone completely still, the Venn equivalent of holding your breath. The math was simple and horrible. Withdraw now, and the Dominion learned they could kill humans and threaten more killing to escape consequences. Push forward, and they might actually execute those threats. What are my orders, Admiral? Jacob asked quietly. Chen was silent for a long moment. Final warning remains authorized. But Jacob, this is your call. Your command. Your conscience. Whatever you decide, Fleet Command backs you. She was giving him an out, letting him take responsibility either way. It was the kindest thing she could have done, and Jacob hated her for it. He looked at the countdown. 2 hours 36 minutes. Lieutenant Kesva, he said formally, in your professional opinion, if we withdraw now, will the Dominion honor any future negotiations? Her patterns flashed sharp white, the Venn equivalent of brutal honesty. They will interpret mercy as weakness. Within a year, they will strike again. Bolder, deadlier. They will believe you lack the will to fight. And if we proceed, some of your colonies may die, but the Dominion's military capacity will be crippled. Future attacks become impossible. She paused. I am sorry, Commander. There are no good choices, only necessary ones. Jacob turned to face his crew. 47 colonies at risk, 400 million people. The Dominion thinks we'll fold, that we care too much about individual lives to risk the larger war. He took a breath. They're half right. We do care about every single life. That's why we warned them, why we gave them time, why we offered terms they knew were fair. He brought up the tactical display showing all 500,000 warships. But they've made their choice, and now they learn what happens when you threaten humanity with extinction. Jacob's voice hardened to steel. All fleet elements, you are authorized for Operation Final Warning. Execute on my mark. Rules of engagement. Minimize civilian casualties. Maximize military destruction. We're not here to commit genocide. We're here to prevent it. The countdown read, 2 hours, 33 minutes. One more thing, Jacob added quietly. Broadcast this across all Dominion channels. I want every civilian, every soldier, every politician to hear what comes next. He opened a channel. General Vexcrawl, you have threatened to murder 400 million human civilians if we don't withdraw. I want you to understand something very clearly. Jacob's words were measured, final. If even one human dies in those reprisal strikes, if one child, one family, one person is harmed because of your orders, I will not stop until your empire is ash. Not occupied, not defeated. Ash. Vexcrawl's face appeared, mandibles clicking frantically. You cannot. Jacob interrupted. We gave you time. We offered mercy. You chose this. He leaned toward the transmission. You have 2 hours and 30 minutes to surrender those war criminals. After that, we demonstrate why humanity's greatest weapon isn't our shits. It's our memory. We never forget, we never forgive, and we never ever stop coming. The transmission ended. Martinez's voice came through, shaking slightly. Commander, that was a bluff, Jacob finished. We won't commit genocide, but they don't know that. Let them think about it for 2.5 hours. Let them imagine 500,000 ships descending on their worlds. Kesva's patterns were pure violet, deep respect mixed with horror. You weaponize their fear of you. Fear is cheaper than blood. If it saves one life, theirs or ours, it's worth it. The countdown continued, and across 42 Dominion military installations, officers looked at the ghost fleet surrounding them and began to realize humanity had not been bluffing. The first surrender came at the 90-minute mark. Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Krex Station, Kim reported. They're standing down, requesting terms. Jacob felt something unknot in his chest. Transmit standard surrender protocols. Medical teams on standby. Treat their wounded the same as ours. More surrenders followed, like dominoes falling. 15 installations in the first hour. 23 in the next 30 minutes. Each one breaking the Dominion's will to fight a little more. But Vardos Prime remained defiant. At the 30-minute mark, General Vexcrawl appeared again. His compound eyes seemed dimmer. His mandibles moved slower. You have won, Commander Reed. The Dominion High Command has agreed to terms. The 15 individuals you requested will be transferred to your custody. A pause. But not from Vardos. We will deliver them from the capital world of Krexthor. This installation will not yield. Jacob's jaw tightened. General, you personally commanded the operation against New Terra. Your name is on the list. Are you telling me you're not surrendering yourself? I am Krathex. We do not surrender to mammals. Vexcrawl's mandibles spread wide, a challenge gesture. You want me? Come take me. The countdown hit 0. Commander, Martinez urged. We have authorization. One strike, their command bunker. Minimal collateral damage. Jacob stared at the tactical display. One shot. Vexcrawl dies. The war ends cleanly. Justice served. But it would mean killing him without trial, without testimony, without the galaxy seeing exactly what he'd done. Negative, Jacob decided. We're going in. Sir, Kim looked shocked. Ground assault? That's exactly what we trained for. Jacob pulled up schematics of the Dominion command bunker. Strike Team Baker, you're with me. 50 operators. We drop in, extract Vexcrawl, and we do it without leveling the city. Commander, I must advise against this, Kesla interjected. The risk is acceptable, because we're not executioners, we're soldiers, and soldiers capture war criminals for trial. Jacob suited up, checking his armor seals. You have command of the fleet, Lieutenant. If we're not back in 6 hours, level the bunker. But give us the chance to do this right. The drop was violent and precise. 50 Marines in powered armor, screaming through Vardos Prime's atmosphere like meteors. Anti-aircraft fire lit up the night sky. 3 pods were destroyed. 47 made it through. They hit the ground running. The Dominion command bunker was buried 300 meters underground, protected by automated defenses and elite guards. Jacob's team cut through them like a surgical knife. Non-lethal where possible, lethal where necessary. Breach charges ready, Sergeant Mike Torres reported at the bunker's primary door. Execute. The explosion was shaped, controlled. The door peeled open like a flower. Jacob's team poured through, weapons raised. They found Vexcrawl in his command center, surrounded by a dozen guards. Not firing, just waiting. General Vexcrawl, Jacob announced formally. Under the authority of United Earth and the Galactic Conventions on War Crimes, you are under arrest for the murder of 7 million humans at New Terra. Vexcrawl's mandibles clicked slowly. You came yourself into the heart of my fortress. Why? Because this isn't about revenge, it's about justice, and justice requires testimony, evidence, truth. Jacob lowered his weapon slightly. Your guards can stand down. This doesn't have to end with more bodies. For a long moment, Vexcrawl studied him. Then, shockingly, he gestured to his guards. Stand aside. They hesitated, then complied. Why? Jacob asked. Because you are right. Vexcrawl's voice was bitter. I commanded the strike on New Terra. I gave the order. And I have spent every day since knowing it was murder, not war. His compound eyes fixed on Jacob. Your species would have negotiated, would have found a solution. But we were afraid of your growth, your expansion, your potential. So you tried to stop us with atrocities. Yes, no hesitation. And I will stand trial for it. Will confess to it, because perhaps, Vexcrawl's voice cracked, perhaps my testimony will prevent another fool from making the same mistake. Jacob gestured to Torres. Secure the prisoner. Medical check, full protocols. As they placed restraints on Vexcrawl, the general looked at Jacob one last time. You know what confuses me most, Commander. What's that? You could have killed me from orbit, but you risked your own people to take me alive. Vexcrawl's mandibles spread slightly, the Krathic's equivalent of a sad smile. Your species truly is different. We should have sued for peace instead of war. Yes, Jacob agreed quietly. You should have. They extracted within 4 hours. 0 human casualties. Vexcrawl in custody. By the time they reached orbit, the remaining Dominion installations were surrendering en masse. The war was over, but the consequences were just beginning. The trial lasted 6 months. Held on neutral ground, a Ven Alliance station, broadcast across every civilized system in the galaxy. Vexcrawl testified for 40 hours, named names, provided evidence, admitted everything. 14 other Dominion officers followed his example. Some defiant, some broken, all guilty. Jacob attended every day of testimony. Sitting beside him was Kesva, now officially part of Human Intelligence Services. Her patterns rarely changed from deep blue, the Ven color for mourning. When the verdicts came down, Jacob felt no satisfaction. 15 guilty sentences, 14 life imprisonments, 1 execution, a captain who had personally targeted civilian evacuation ships and shown 0 remorse. Justice, Kesva observed, watching the proceedings conclude. Does it feel adequate? No, Jacob admitted. 7 million people are still dead, but it's better than revenge, better than becoming them. The High Command collapsed. Dozens of systems declared independence. Others sued for peace with humanity. Within a year, the Dominion existed only as a shadow of its former power. The Galactic Council rewrote its charter, created an actual enforcement mechanism, established humanity as one of its permanent security members, along with the Ven Alliance, who'd finally chosen a side. The Reserve Armada didn't disappear. 500,000 ships remained on standby. A reminder. A promise. Jacob stood in the memorial gardens on New Earth, looking at 7 million names carved into black stone. Each one a person, a life, a future stolen. Admiral Chen found him there. The President is offering you a promotion. Fleet Admiral. Command of the entire Reserve Armada. I'll think about it, Jacob replied. You're a hero, Jacob, the man who won the war without becoming a monster. I didn't win anything. Chose to stay human. He traced his fingers over one name. Sarah Kim. 26 years old. Tactical officer aboard the Reckoning. Killed during the Vardos ground operation, when her drop pod was shot down. The cost of staying human, Chen said softly. Yeah, Jacob's voice was rough. But it's a cost I'll pay every time. Because the moment we stop counting the dead, stop offering mercy, stop trying to be better, that's when we actually lose. They stood in silence for a moment. The galaxy's different now, Chen observed. They know what we're capable of. They know we keep our word. Good, Jacob turned to face her. Maybe the next time someone thinks about glassing a colony, they'll remember. We gave them a warning. We gave them time. We gave them mercy. And when they refused, Jacob's expression hardened. We gave them exactly what we promised. Not revenge. Not rage. Just consequences. He walked toward the exit, but paused at the memorial entrance. A new plaque had been installed. Simple words. They were warned. They were given time. They chose war anyway. This is what followed. May it never be necessary again. Below it, a single line in every galactic language. Humanity does not make threats. We make promises. Jacob nodded once and left the memorial behind. Behind him, 7 million names stood witness. And that's the story of Operation Final Warning. The day humanity proved that mercy and strength aren't opposites, they're partners. If this story hit you as hard as it hit me to write, drop a comment below sharing your favorite moment. Was it Jacob's choice to risk his own people for justice? Vexcrawl's confession? The moment those 500,000 ships appeared? Share this with someone who needs to hear a story about doing the right thing, even when it costs everything. Hit that like button if you want more HFY stories that show humanity at our best, not our cruelest, but our most determined. And subscribe to HFY, because we're just getting started. Every week, new stories about humanity facing impossible odds and choosing to stay human anyway. Thanks for watching. Remember, we don't make threats, we make promises.